here. And I'm like, really? So it was cool.
Well, we had 18 countries represented,
That's
and
so
all the heads of countries were there, and the energy. It was just really cool to see the energy. I mean, it's like when Realty got started in the States and Canada,
yeah.
and looking out in that room, and I mean, so many different languages, and we had this app where we could all um, I'm messing with my phone, sorry, where we could all just download the app no matter what the language was, and it was translating it real time into our own language. So we had the guys from France that are up there just in their own comfortable skin, and it was such an international experience that
That's awesome.
I'm pretty proud of our company. So we're excited. Um, we don't know where they're going to do it next year, but I'm telling you, we need to all just go wherever they are.
Just go wherever they are. That's
Mhm.
cool.
Yeah.
Very
Somebody
cool.
just gave me a referral that their client's moving from North Carolina and he's out of Portugal and he happened to be there. He met me at the elevator. He's like, I'm Mark. I just sent you. I was like, oh my gosh, how crazy is that, right? So because I just sent you the referral for Ryan and Jennifer. So it's just a cool company that we have.
That
So
is awesome. That's awesome.
good morning, everybody. Hello, Stacy. You're muted, babe.
She's muted. She's muted.
You're still muted.
There we
Everybody's
go.
muted.
There we are.
Ah, hi.
So you're like in a bus?
I'm in a. Here's the family.
Hi, Brian.
We just got off a plane from Portugal. We just landed in Spain.
Amazing. I
So
love it.
tired, but I was like, oh, we can jump on. Anyway.
Well, after a crazy start to your trip, I'm so glad you got your family all together and now you guys can
it was
enjoy
crazy.
these weeks ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be fun. It was crazy, but and the jet lag still got me. So I'm gonna let you guys run this meeting, but I'm in the car. So
Glad you're popping in. Miss
Yeah.
Jackie,
Hi.
how happy am I to see you? And blessed and lucky are we to get to have you on this call today.
Well, I'm the one that's blessed. I love doing this. It feeds my soul. And if I help one person on the call, it was worth it. And I adore you and I adore Elizabeth, of course. I don't know what y'all put in your margaritas in Texas, but they're really fun. So I'm like,
yeah, we'll
that
come
is
back
not an
down and
Ohio.
we'll try them again.
Yeah, I'm like, that Austin margarita is not the same as an Ohio margarita. That's for darn sure. All right. But love you ladies. And I just am so grateful for just EXP, Elizabeth, our group. And I mean, I wouldn't be sitting here being the person who I am today if it weren't for EXP. So I'm just eternally grateful and just so happy to be here and pour into everyone on this call. We're going to do a little work on this call though. So hopefully y'all get your pens and your paper ready because I believe that you'll come into this call one person and you're going to leave a different one. So I'm excited.
I love it. Okay, well, it's straight up on the hour. And so Saab, Elizabeth, one of her right hands, is got the controls to live stream.
I don't have the controls. Yeah, so she's live streaming it right now. Saab, if you could let people in, because everybody on Fridays are a little bit late, Jackie, and they're always quiet. I don't know why everybody's quiet. And we usually will do wins and intentions, but it's going to be a jam-packed hour with you. And so we want you to just jump right in and Saab could let people in as they show up.
Absolutely.
Okay, so Saab knows to live stream us and to record. I pinged her a couple of times and she knows to do that. So
well, it's saying that I'm being recorded. I had to hit okay. So
me too.
There.
Okay, so
All
she's
right.
got that.
You're all good. Yep,
And
we're live streamed too.
As long as someone else is letting people in the room, I think we're good.
Yep, I think we're good. Jackie, do you want me to do an intro so everybody knows like the rock star that you are?
Sure, go for it.
Yes, do because she won't brag on herself.
I know
she
won't.
should.
She's too humble. So I've been pinging our groups this week, telling them what a treat it's going to be today to have the great Jackie Bowman on our call today. And when Michael and I were in transition to EXP, Jackie was one of the first dear faces that I met, and Elizabeth was strategic in that first call with Jackie because she knew I would love her. And then I think our second day at EXP, we were at an event here in Austin, and Elizabeth had Jackie come in as a speaker that day. And anyway, we became fast friends, went to dinner that night, ended the night with several one too many margaritas and over at Elizabeth's house popping a bottle of champagne. We were just all
For
excited.
those that are in Austin, we were at Fond de San Miguel drinking
Fond de
silver
San Miguel.
coin. So you know how, yeah, those watermelon margaritas will get you.
Yeah. Anyway, super fun. But anyway, Jackie's a special one. Let me tell you a little bit about her. So many of you know her face and her voice and have seen her on screens. And if you've been to EXPCon or any of the Build conferences, she's a regular on the stage. So that if you're wondering, how do I know Jackie? That's probably how you know Jackie. She has also served on our 2021 Agent Advisory Council. She's been licensed for 20 years. Hey, y'all, make sure you mute yourself. She's been licensed for 20 years, so she's been one of us for many, many years. Did you start with KW, Jackie?
Oh gosh. Well, that's part of my story, but I've been to like 5 brokerages, but I'm here.
Okay.
So we'll talk about that for sure. But yes, I was a team leader at KW, 2009 to 2012. So
Yeah, interesting years to have been a team lead.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. The best.
After you had built your own, real estate business, then she became a team leader there at KW. She was the first EXP agent in the state of Ohio, which I think is amazing. And that was in what year, Jackie?
It was in 2017. So my business partner, David Best, he was one of the OPs, if you were from the KW world. I was his team leader. He was the OP, and he sold his ownership in KW, and he started EXP Ohio. So I was the first agent. He was the first broker. So it was super
love
fun.
that.
Yeah.
And now she launched in 2017 her coaching business as a coach with Glover U, which all of you on this call should probably be familiar with Glover U. She and her hubby Ryan, who they're a hubby wife team, and he and she run an organization, a registered organization of 600 agents, which I think that's pretty amazing because Jackie, when I met you a year and a half ago, I think y'all were like at 148 agents or something.
Yeah, so Ryan and I are technically at 480. I also reach up and give a hand up to Dave Best because he did take that risk, and I pretty much lead that whole group with him. So kind of like back in the day, you know how the OP team leader role was? It's the same thing. I pretty much do 98. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. But no, his group is 600. So we just combine that and just say our group is 600.
Got it. That's awesome.
Pretty awesome.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, you guys are in for a treat. So what Jackie's going to be talking on today is how we end this year strong. It doesn't matter how the year started,
Yes.
right? It just matters how we finish. So I am going to turn over the stage to you, Miss Jackie. Thank you so much for being here.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for having me. Again, if I can just shift the mindset of one person on this call and you leave this call with a concrete plan and you feel more in control, I have done my job today. So super excited. So today we're going to talk about the top 5 strategies to win the second half of 2024. And so I'll start off with a little bit about my story. I know that Stacy shared a little bit. I did get licensed in 2004. And y'all, before I was in real estate, I was a preschool teacher. I have a 2-year degree from community college in early childhood education. And I took care of babies, like in my home. Like all the teachers' kids came to my house. I was that girl that took care of everybody's babies. And my next door neighbor was a real estate agent. And she would come over all dressed up, drop off her baby, and I'd be in like my yoga pants. And I was like, that seems really interesting. And I was always interested in, and one day I was like, well, I got to get out of the house because I'm 27 years old and I can't be with babies all day and not get out. So I just thought I would work for a top agent, like Elizabeth, and just hold her opens for her or, show properties for her or something like that. But what I really quickly realized was that I could break the cycle in my family and I could do something really, really great and just really leave a legacy, not financially just for my daughter and my son, but just showing them that even though everybody says, oh, you can be whatever you want to be and you can do whatever you want to do, but you can actually do those things. And so my son was 6 months old and I gave all of the parents about 8 weeks notice. And I said, I'm closing the preschool and the daycare, and I'm actually going into real estate full time. And I never thought I would be a businesswoman, right? I always thought I would be a caregiver or something like that. So doing things like this, you guys, is what feeds my soul. If I can help someone who doesn't see in themselves what I see in them, and they shift that mindset and do great things that they never thought they could do. That's what I live for every single day. So that's why I'm here. Fast forward 20 years later, my son is 19. He lives with autism. His name is Drew. My daughter, Abby, is 22. She attends Central Michigan University. She's in her 5th year there. She's going to graduate with like 4 degrees, I think, but it's all around special education, American Sign Language, and things like that. So life could not be better. My husband, Ryan, is also in real estate. I reeled him into this side of the world in 2010. So things are just absolutely amazing. So everybody has a clean sheet of paper and we're ready to go. Top 5 things to strategize to win the second half of 2024. So the first thing I want to talk about is actually flipping the switch and really looking at the second half of 2024 as an opportunity. I mean, obviously there's a lot of things going on in the real estate industry and in our marketplace, and anytime there is change, there's opportunity. And when this first came out in March, the changes that we're about to have, I was super excited because in 2008, 2009, I doubled my business each year in the toughest market as a single mom in real estate history. So how did I become a top 5 agent out of an office of about 100 agents in that time where everybody thought it was the worst real estate market? And so it was really just my mindset. I really didn't have a plan B. And so one of the things that I learned at Glover U, it's just one of Jeff's things that he says all the time, is it's what we do that determines our success, not the market. So that's number 1, is flip the switch. It's what we do that determines our success, not the market. And I was blessed that I got into the industry and really got going during a time that everyone else was facing challenge, right? Because I didn't know what the market was like before 2008, 2009. And so I think just having that opportunity to stay focused on what I was doing to make it and to strive. And so really understanding that it was what I put into it was what I was going to get out of it. So just really focusing on it's not the market. And so I want everybody to think about, can we agree that in very, very difficult markets, there are people that thrive? There are people that capitalize on that. There are people that thrive and excel in their business. But then also, can we agree that in what we would call an easy market, or maybe a lighter market, no market's easy, right? I mean, everybody thought, oh, having 15 offers was super easy. No, it wasn't, right? We all know that it wasn't. But think about a time that it was less challenging. Are there people that still failed out of the real estate industry? Well, the answer is yes, right? They're in either market, we have people that are winning at a high level, and then we have people that are struggling. So it's really not the market that determines our success. It's what we do in the market. So I would love to bring up an example as well that if you've seen me on stage before, I brought this up before. If you put 10 real estate agents on a stage and they're all succeeding at a high level, and you can write down whatever number that is, whether it's 100,000 a year or 400,000 a year, if all 10 of them are netting the same amount of money, the fact of the matter is they're all doing it differently. And I think that's the biggest passion zone I have, is helping agents get clarity on what is going to work for them. And let's master that at a 10 out of 10. Let's be ourselves in the business, right? Because a lot of times we look right and we look at what that person's doing, and we look left and we see what that person's doing, and we think we need to be those people in order to succeed, versus looking within ourselves and figuring out what is best for me to do to succeed at a high level. So again, it's what we do that determines our success, not the market. So that is point number 1. Point number 2, if you want to write this one down, is getting clarity on my goals and reset my goals for the second half. We're going to get clarity on our goals and reset our goals for the second half. So this is where some of the work is going to come in. Okay. And y'all don't have to share out loud. I know you're going to be super secretive. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of go through where you are today and where you want to be. And so I'm going to ask you some questions about the present and about right now. And I want you to just journal these out for yourself. This is just something that, you know, for the next 40 minutes, you're going to be able to take time out of your business and reflect on, like, what am I actually doing? What am I doing on a daily basis? Do I have clarity on where I am? Do I have clarity on where I'm going? And what does that look like? So the first question is where are you now in your business? And whatever the first thing is you think of, I want you to write that down. That's a very open-ended question. Where am I now in my business? Where am I right now? How many units have I closed year to date? How many units have I closed year to date? I want you to write down how many units you've closed year to date. And now I want you to write down, what is working for me? Like, what are some of the things that you're doing that are actually working? Like, what are some of the activities you're doing? What are some of those growth activities you're doing? What's working for you? What's working in your favor? What's working in your favor? What are some of those prospecting or growth activities? A lot of times I don't use the word prospecting because it's like a trigger word for people. So I'll just say, what kind of growth activities are you doing on a daily basis that are pushing your business forward? What are some of the growth activities I'm doing on a daily basis or weekly basis that are pushing my business forward? So we're 6 months, we're just over 5 months into 2024. If you're looking back, January, February, March, April, May, if you had to do it all over again, what would you have done differently? What would I have done differently? And what is not working for me? Right? So let's just reflect back on this first half. How many units did I do? What is working for me? What has contributed to my business? What growth activities have I done? And if I could do these first 5 months all over again, what would I have done differently? All right. Sorry there's so much silence, but it's really good when there's silence because people are thinking and writing. I had to get comfortable with quiet space. So where am I now? How many units did I close year to date? What is working for me? What growth activities contributed the most? What growth activities am I doing consistently? What is not working? And if I had to do it all over again the past 5 months, what would I have done differently? Okay. So now I want you to flip over and I want you to write down June 8th, 2024, and then draw an arrow to December 31st, 2024. Okay. So tomorrow's Saturday, June 8th. From tomorrow forward through the end of the year, what would be a win? When you're looking at those units, how many units do you really want to close? How much money do you really want to make second half of 2024? Now you could write down GCI, you could write down net income, you could write down units. It really doesn't matter for all you high C's. This doesn't have to be specific. It's not for me, it's for you. It's so however you want to write that goal, what would be winning for you? And a lot of us set goals at the beginning of the year. Maybe this is a time to reset your goal and start from June 8th forward. I don't know if any of you have read the 12-week year book, but our goals don't have to be an annual goal, right? So what can we set from June 8th forward? What does it look like for me to win second half of 2024? What would that need to look like? Okay. Now I want to ask you, what type of transactions, where are you going to focus your time, energy, and effort? So if you, for example, if you wanted to do an additional 20 units between now and the end of the year, are those going to be listings? Are those going to be buyers? If they are going to be listings, where would you like those listings to be? What type of sellers would you like to work with? Get clarity on where you're actually going second half of 2024. Okay. All right. So now that you have clarity on that, what would you need to do more of? What is my plan to get there? What would I need to do more of, and what would my plan be to get there? All right. And so this, you might not be able to finish this right now, but I really would challenge you today. I know it's Friday, I know it's before the weekend, but take some time and really dial down and figure out, what is it that I really want to feel like I won and I didn't fall backwards? Because again, it's what I do in the market. It's not the market that determines my success. It's what I do. And we all can agree that there are people in more challenging markets that thrive. And I think just being here at EXP, all the tools they're giving us, all the training that we have, and of course, surrounding ourselves with everyone who is on the trajectory to thrive is where we need to be. And so my question would be is, what does that second half of 2024 look like for us? Okay. What is my plan to get there? All right, so here is a key question. And this would be point number 3. Okay, so now we're going to go on to another point. The people that are succeeding at a very high level, now I will take out if this is more directed at solo agents than it is team members or team leaders. Okay, just so you all know, but this is a question more directed at solo agents. If I were to narrow down my forms of lead generation,
What are we talking about here?
if I were to narrow down my forms of lead generation, what would be the top 2 sources that are going to provide me those units between now and the end of the year? What are my top 2 sources going to be? What do I think they're going to be? So number 3 is narrow down to 2 forms, maybe 3, of lead gen. Now, if I'm providing leads and I have a larger team, we're going to have a lot more multiple sources of lead gen, right? If we're marketing at a high level. But if I'm a solo agent and I'm doing anywhere from, 15 to 50 deals a year, the question is what are my top 2 forms of lead gen? And how can I master those and be doing those at a 10 out of 10? How can I master those and be doing those at a 10 out of 10? So when I ask myself, what is my plan for second half? It's really not getting distracted by trying different new things, right? And it's really focusing on, where am I getting my leads from already? And how can I, double down or triple down on those forms that are already working? And have I exhausted those 2 forms of lead gen? Have I exhausted those 2 forms of lead gen? So many of us are like, hey, my Sphere and past client database, that's my number 1 source. I work basically, mostly on referral. Well, my question to you would be, have I exhausted working my past clients in SOI? Have I really done everything that I could be doing? And if not, what would that look like? Right? So number 3 was narrow down to 2 forms of lead gen and how can I master them at a 10 out of 10? Okay. All right, so we're going to break right there since we had the first 3 things. I know that's a lot to think about. Anybody that wants to open their mic and have any ahas or feedback on how their first half has gone and what you're looking to do second half. Anything that you've discovered about yourself or anything that you need to reset for second half. No, Elizabeth said everybody's going to be quiet. I don't want you to be quiet though. It's all good. Okay. Is this helpful? Is this
I
helpful?
like what you said about exhausting our current lead sources. That's definitely a really great mental note that I wrote it down. But that was a really great nugget. Thank you.
Yeah, Megan, I appreciate you unmuting and participating. Yeah, I think a lot of times we think well, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, but are we really doing it at a 10 out of 10? Are we exhausting that source before we move on to the next source? So think about, and you can go through your production for the past 2 to 3 years and look at, okay, yes, we can source our business past clients, or we can source our business sphere of influence. But the question is what behaviors did I do to get that business? And then are we 10xing or 3xing those behaviors to get more of that business? Because that's already in alignment with who we are, because we're already doing something at a high level, right? And so, and you could just use for sale by owners, for example. I could dabble in for sale by owners, make a couple calls, do a couple door knocks, just so I can feel like I'm prospecting them. And I would maybe rate myself at a 2 out of 10. But if that's going to be one of my main sources of lead gen, have I exhausted everything I could do with for sale by owners? Right? If I challenged Stacy or I challenged Megan to teach a class on mastering for sale by owners, what would they say? What would they teach? Here's the 20 things you can do to convert a for sale by owner, right? So that's really what we're talking about. Is a lot of times we bounce from thing to thing to thing to thing, because again, we're looking right, we're looking left, we're looking at who's doing what, and we get off of the right path too quickly. Or we're like, oh, I'm already doing that, it's kind of working, let me try something else, right? And so really narrowing down to the 2 forms and exhausting those 2 forms of lead gen is definitely a key to being a top solo agent, is staying focused on those. So good nugget. Anybody else?
Yeah, Jackie, I was just going to say, I mean, I think there's so much wisdom in that, and that comes from your years of experience and coaching so many top producing agents. Is this business can just be so overwhelming, and we can get so distracted by so many things and by what other people are doing to achieve their success. And, for those of us that have been in the business for a little while, just looking back on the years that we have had, and even if it's just 2 years in the business or 20 years in the business, what's brought our business to us, and just honing in on what has brought us the success, whatever success that we've had,
Right.
and not getting distracted with all the other noise and all the other overwhelm and all the emails and all the things.
Right.
But to just wrangle in. And I think that takes such self-awareness of just dialing into where your strengths are, where your superpowers are, and just hone in on that. And just let all the other noise go away for now.
Yeah. And I think everything, needs a little tweak to be current with the market. Okay. So if I'm database, for example, I'm going to make sure that my messaging to my database, I mean, just like Dan Beer says, like we need to be that source for our sphere and our past clients of what's actually going on with commissions and things like that. So yes, we're changing our messaging, but we're still communicating with our database at a high level. We're doing it with video, we're doing it with text video, we're doing it with mailings, we're doing it with client events. Like there's so many ways that we can exhaust that form of lead gen, or whatever form of lead gen you're doing. I mean, you take someone like Jesse Dow, he's maximizing YouTube. He is doing YouTube at a 10 out of 10. YouTube's not my main form of lead gen. So me comparing myself to him instead of going all in on my form is going to do my business a disservice. Now, I'm pretty sure Jesse Dow does not feel guilty when he drives past a for sale by owner. The guy doesn't feel guilty. Why? Because he knows what his number one form of lead gen is. Does that make sense? How many of you drive by a for sale by owner and feel guilty because you're not calling them? You shouldn't. If it's not one of your main top 2 or 3 forms of lead gen, like it's okay as long as you're maximizing your top forms at a 10 out of 10. I think that's part of the issue, especially when newer agents get into the business. There's so many ways that we can lead generate that we get caught in what we call analysis paralysis. Is that what they call it? Where, and I have a few of these written down. I have a lead gen website. I can pay for Zillow. Maybe I'm growing a team. I'm working LinkedIn. I'm working YouTube. I'm working open houses. I'm door knocking, FSBOs, expireds, Sphere, database marketing, client events. Like there's all these things that we can do. But the question is, are we really focused on our top 1 or 2 and doing those at a 10 out of 10 first before we even consider a 3rd, 4th, 5th source of business? So just very good. Yeah. Thanks, Stacy. Okay. And I always write this question down. Instead of sourcing my business, what I want you to do is ask myself, what behavior did I do? Write this down. What behavior did I do to cause that person to refer me? What behavior did I do to cause that person to refer me or use me for real estate? What behavior did I do to cause that person to refer me or use me for real estate? We really need to know, was it the text video I sent them? Or was it the football schedule I sent them? Or was it a combination of both? Like, what am I actually doing? Is it because I go to church on Sunday? Is it because I show up at my son's track meets? Like, what behavior am I actually doing that's contributing to my success? How can we 2x, 3x, 4x that second half of 2024? Okay. Love it.
Brian's got his hand up.
Oh,
Brian,
go
go
ahead,
for it.
Brian. Yes, go.
Unmute yourself.
There's 2 things that resonated really well with me. Number one is your goals don't have to be 12-month goals, because sometimes we become so overwhelmed with trying to accomplish something for such a long time when we've never even done it a week.
Right.
And it's so much easier to get little baby wins and create good standards. And I think that's a big problem in our industry. People feel like they're committing for a lifetime, so they never even get going because it feels overwhelming. Right. Yeah. And then number 2, really honing in where you're spending your time, in IPAs, income producing activities, and nothing else matters. And do those first in the day and don't wait to the end. And I'm, guilty as charged of that all the time because things pop up. I mean, your day gets busy very quickly and then it's gone. Right. Yes. And so really trying to have whatever trigger reminders you need, whether it's notepads, sticky notes, writing it on, paint it on your wall in front of you, whatever, right? Like something to remind you what's important every day, what achieves the goal, and not just taking a lead, but a lead that leads you to achieve what your end game is.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. So for sure, I think when I ask the question, what is your plan to get those units, really focusing on your 1 or 2 forms of lead gen, but then again, just like Brian said, what are those must-do activities that I need to get in every day before I allow the rest of the world in? So Brian, I want to thank you for this, because I'm going to go off the freeway a little bit, because this is really important. Most of us are super reactive and super responsive to our phones, right? The reason being is because most of us know that success in real estate, most of us became successful because we answered our phone. We're responsive. We care about people. We want to give them the answer. We want to help them and be, I don't say, oh, I want this person to be super impressed that I'm answering within 10 minutes or whatever. That's not what we say to ourselves, but subconsciously, that's what we have done, because when we're a brand new agent, That's how we started to train our brain to service this industry. Answer your phone, text them right away, do this right away, speed to lead, all of this stuff gets in our head. And then what happens is those growth activities that Brian's talking about, we get derailed. Okay. And I know some of you have heard this example before, but it's so true that if you had a $1.2 million listing appointment and you knew it was going to take you 2 hours in the morning and you were at their house from 9:30 to 11, I can almost guarantee you, you are not answering a text or a phone call or anything. And at 11:31, when you went back to your car, it was business as usual and you didn't miss a sale, right? You didn't miss any of those things, but unfortunately we are trained, and I love Simon Sinek. He's one of my favorite people, but he talks about the addiction to resolving and solving everybody's response, whether they're liking your post or commenting on your post and you're liking that, we get a hit of dopamine every time we do that. And so this is a real issue of distraction. And so this is where you guys will find out I'm a little bit weird, a little weird with stuff. Okay. But what I want you to do is I want you to imagine that you're in a room and all the lights are on. People are dancing. There's a carnival going on. People are talking to you. You're having a great time. You might be having a margarita. Like, things are amazing. When people talk to you, you respond. It's a fun time. It's just high energy. And I'm being responsive and being that person in the room that everyone is interacting with. Right. And I just call that freedom. Like, I have the freedom to do whatever, whenever, and there's 24 hours in a day. Okay. So now I want you to imagine you're in the same room. It's empty and the lights are shut off and it's dark and it's quiet. And all you have are the 6 things that you need to get done in the next 120 minutes to make sure that every single day you do those, so that your business is always moving forward. You're always hitting your goals because you respected that 120 minutes that you set aside for these 6 things or these 4 things or these 8 things, whatever it is. And the minute you're done with those, you flip that switch back on, and now you're giving yourself permission to be reactive to everyone else. But I promise everybody, the same amount of deals will close if you use that actually more deals will close if you actually use that 2 hours, but you're not going to lose a transaction because you were quiet for 2 hours every day. Just, it's not real. It's not real. So thank you, Brian, for that.
You know, along those lines too, Jackie, you know, those of us that have been around for a minute in this business, is we've learned that we treat our clients how to treat us, right? And when we're super responsive, when we're responding to their text at 7 a.m. or at 11 p.m., then we've just taught them that that's completely fine, that we'll always respond at those times. You know, I think maturity in this business, and yes, we had to all survive in the beginning, right? But maturity, you get to a point where it's like you realize you really can't do that and have any kind of volume of business and still have a life outside of this business with your family, the other things that are important to you. So I think it's a good evolution and a reminder from you, Brian, et cetera, who've been in this business for a while, to be cognizant of your clients are going to be fine. Sometimes we have to let whatever the thing is that's making them bananas at the moment. Sometimes we need to respond fairly quickly. That doesn't mean drop the phone now. I mean, pick up the phone now. But sometimes even just letting it diffuse a little bit and giving it a little bit of space and time, even if it's an hour before we call them back, sometimes they're in a better place and things start to get resolved without us having to be the one to fix the problem. But that takes discipline.
Well, you know, and we don't operate our business like lawyers and doctors. They're not available 24/7. You know, we've become servants in our industry. You know, instead of treating ourselves like professionals and setting the standard up front. And
Yeah.
we all have that issue because we all want to serve our clients and we all fought for the business and we think they're going to be mad at us and not give us referrals and blah, 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 you know? And I always look at agents to have on their voicemail. Hey, if you submit an offer after Friday at 5 o'clock, we won't be responding till Monday. Or, you know, hey, if you call me after 5:30, you won't expect, you know, I won't return your call till tomorrow. It's scary to do that,
Mhm.
but it does set expectations and actually lifts us higher than we
Yes.
believe that the other person will perceive.
Agree. Yeah. And I think the only conflict with that is if people are paying for leads. I think that's different. But other than that, everyone, like this is real, what Brian's saying. And one of the things that I help my coaching clients with too is I have them write down a text script. So like if Stacy texts me, you know, between 9:30 and 11:30 when I'm focused on my stuff, I do have a 5-minute acknowledgement period in there where I will acknowledge, hey, Stacy, I got your text. Is it okay if I get back to you after 12? Send. Hey, John, I got your text. I'll get back to you after 12. Sounds good. Send. And I will do that and make sure that I acknowledge, especially if I'm in a 4-hour time block of something, right? You can
And is that
acknowledge.
a saved prompt that you do on your phone now?
I should if I was super smart. I mean, the only prompt I have is my email address. I finally got smart to do that. But no,
Dave,
you can.
would know. You would know how to do that, Dave.
Well, you
But
can.
I
Yeah,
do
if you have an iPhone, you can go in and set it so that when you get a call, all you hit is text, and it sends it gives you options for your canned messages.
That's good.
Yeah, and then you can also do it with when you say I'm in driving and I'm in safety mode, you can actually change that message to, hey, I'm in a very important meeting or I'm with a client. Please text me. I will get back to you within the next 3 hours. Boom. Or I will get back to you after 2. You can change that every single day and put it on safety mode. I know agents that do that as well. So good tip, Dave. I appreciate that.
There's a mood for focus. One of the choices is focus. So somebody just told me that. I mean, like, that just makes so much sense. I just found out about that nugget the other day. So I'm so glad y'all just reminded me.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, cool. Yeah. So, you know, obviously flipping the switch, setting our mindset was the first thing. The second one is getting clarity on our second half goals. Like, what did we do first half? What are we going to do second half? And what do we really want? Do our goals have to look like somebody else's? No. But what is going to make me feel like I won on December 31st, 2024? What do I need for my family? And what do I need to move forward and feel like I'm winning in this market? And then the third one is choose and commit to 2 forms of lead gen that we're going to master at a 10 out of 10 that are going to supply me those closings second half. Okay. So number 4, this actually just teed us up for number 4, is recalibrate my summer schedule. For us up here in Ohio, our kids just got out of school last week. Some of them are just getting out of school this week. So for us, our summers look different. We don't get a whole lot of good weather up here. So a lot of our agents are like, it's time to get on the boat. It's time to go have fun. It's time to go do these, you know. So what I suggest is that we recalibrate. And it's not, do I have great memories that I'm making with my family, or do I do really well in my business? The question is how do we have both and? How can I recalibrate my summer schedule to have both a great business that's thriving and time with my family and creating memories and doing what I want to do this summer? So that would be number 4, is recalibrate my summer schedule. So we can't go through this exercise on this call. It would take too much time. But number 1, I always go through and say, hey, what memories do I want to create with my kids this summer? What do I want to check off my summer bucket list? And how can I stack the deck so that during those times I'm present? And when I say stack the deck, it could be something just like that. Putting it on that focus mode or safety mode and saying, hey, you know, if you need immediate assistance, call or text this other person or whatever, right? So it's how can I tee myself up to protect that time? So that's number 1. Number 2 would be, how can I stack the deck so my business doesn't fall behind? Or how can I stack the deck so that I'm moving forward in my business towards my goals? So for example, we have Cedar Point near us. Anybody know what Cedar Point is? Amusement park? Okay. So my son, it's like roller coaster park. And so I said, you know, I'm going to make sure I take him 5 times. We have season passes. It's about an hour away. And so I mark in my calendar the days that we're going to Cedar Point. The day before I go to Cedar Point is a buffer day, right? To where I'm tying up my business. I'm preparing to have the day off. I'm setting up some leverage, right? And then the day after I get back, I'm doing the same thing. I'm doubling up on my lead gen the day before, the day after, so that I can take that actual day off and not feel guilty. So what you have to do is we have to go through our schedule and say, okay, we're going to be away this weekend for a boating weekend. We're going to be at this, I'm hosting this graduation party. We have this out of town wedding, and really go through your entire summer schedule and look at, well, what days do I have left to be focus days? What days do I have to create a buffer day, right? If I'm going to do a float the river and drink margaritas all day, I can't have a focus day the next day. Like, that's not going to work. So telling myself I'm going to lead generate the next day for 3 or 4 hours and double up because I took the day off, like, that's not going to happen after getting sunburnt and drinking margaritas. Like, it's just not going to happen. So I think just us preparing and planning so that we can do both. And again, that would be fun days, focus days, and buffer days. And it doesn't have to be a full day, by the way. It can be a buffer of 5 hours. It could be a half business day, like whatever that looks like. I could have a buffer of 5 hours in the morning and then have a solid 3-hour focus time in the afternoon. What am I going to do during that time? And again, during my focus times, that light switch is off. All business can wait. And anytime I'm in that light switch off mode and I'm doing growth activities, those are all going to be activities that are moving my business forward in a growth mode. It's not responding to a lead. That would be lead follow-up, right? It's more about initiating new conversations and having, we've all heard real estate's a contact sport, like making our contacts and doing what we need to do. So my question to you for number 4 is, what do I need to do to recalibrate my schedule for the summer so that I'm both winning in my business and creating the memories and having the summer that I desire to have? How can I recalibrate and plan ahead for my schedule? So what I do is I just put, when my daughter goes back to college, the day she leaves, and I plan between now and then, and I stack the deck, I put leverage in place, and I'm fully prepared for my summer ahead. My question to you is are you prepared for your summer schedule? That is launching you into the second half. Who's got fun stuff this summer? Vacations? Anybody? Right? All right. So that is number 4. Okay. So that is something you're going to want to do, obviously, outside this call. And then last but not least, number 5 is we're going to upgrade just our business in general and be prepared. And I don't want to talk about NAR stuff over and over and over again, but I would definitely upgrade my listing presentation, update my buyer presentation, and last but not least, be comfortable and confident going into a changed market. Like, we have all the tools, we have all the top agents that are talking to us about what scripts to use, what to say, how to maintain our commission, how to increase our value as a buyer's agent. I don't want to go into all of that. I'm just going to leave that as number 5. It's time for me to upgrade my business. I have to be prepared for these changes, and I have to be confident in what I'm selling. And I'll give you an example for that. I had an agent in my group. She came to me the other day and she said, "Hey, Jackie, I'm doing really good with the buyer's agreement. I've had them sign at 3% or X%, every time, but I've had listings that I've sold them that are only offering 1.5 or 2. And when it comes down to it, I just end up cutting my commission. Like, I end up accepting 2.5 or 2 because I just feel so guilty asking them to pay me." And I'm like, oh boy, so she got good at the first part, but she wasn't confident in the second part, So going over some scripts with her and just changing her mindset. It's like, hey, you know what? Unfortunately, the sellers you know, the seller compensation to the buyer broker is 2%, which means the extra 1% that you agree to for the buyer brokerage, I'm going to get you a net sheet from the title company and show you what those costs are. And we'll make sure that you're good with that before we move to closing. It's just a simple change of scripting and confidence in what she's saying. I said, you're putting it on you that they owe you money. It's like, no, it's a buyer broker commission and you did that. I said, every time you list a property for 500,000 and they only get 400, you're not going to cut your commission because they got less than the list price. I mean, it's, you know, so it's just a mindset thing. So that's where I would say, not only upgrade your business, but be prepared and be confident and believe in what you're selling. So that's my number 5. And now I'll just leave it open for Q&A.
Love all of this so much, Jackie.
Yes. So those are my top 5 tips and strategies to win second half of 2024.
I think a lot of us would say this is exactly what we need right now. Especially with all the noise in the industry related to settlements. It's like, how many webinars can we possibly watch and conversations can we have around this? Like, let's just get back to what we know works to get us to the closing table, right?
Yes. I mean, I fully believe we need to be prepared with scripting, because the minute someone in our sphere asks us about something, we have to be not only be prepared, but again, be confident in our answer and understand it and understand the why behind it and really truly believe that. You know, it's just like when you're a brand new agent, if you don't believe that you're the best choice for that person, it's going to be hard for you to sell them on signing with you. Right. And so I think it's the same thing. We have to not only read the scripting, understand the scripting, but we have to believe in the scripting and believe that we're worth that and the industry is worth that. So yeah, I love it. Anybody have any questions, comments? I know this is very deep thought for a Friday, but I would encourage you guys right now to time block something over the weekend or something later this afternoon to kind of go through your summer schedule. Like, I want everyone to have our creating our memories with our families and not feeling guilty. Like, how amazing would that be if we could just shut the reactive switch off and be with our family and have a great time and then have some really great focus days instead of just having this blah and trying to manage it all. I don't know if you can take that in a note, a blah, but you know,
We
I
all
think-
have our version of that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yada, 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 yada.
Yada, yada, yada. That's right. So
I really loved that too, Jackie, about when you said we have our, let me find it in our notes, our focus dates, our buffer dates, and our fun, or our
fun.
focus days, buffer days, and fun days. I
Yeah.
think that we need to give ourselves that permission.
Yeah.
You know, and the time blocking helps us is that this is what these hours or this is what this day is about. And I know tomorrow I'm giving myself permission to, whether it's a fun day or a buffer day or whatever that is. I think allowing ourselves the permission that it doesn't have to be from 9 to 11 every single day, but
Correct.
just know what the block of time is that we're going to do the thing that's going to drive our business forward and do
Yeah.
it.
And I would still encourage that it's earlier in the day because that's when we're our freshest and that's when we are clear and nothing has come in the way yet, right? And so it's really turning those lights off and keeping people at bay, right? Because we are in the service industry, you know, we are servicing our buyers and sellers. But yeah, I mean, definitely, you know, us limiting how reactive we are is really going to be the key to us staying focused. So yeah. And of course, I mean, it's human nature. That's what Simon Sinek says. It's human nature that we want to, if there's 2 puzzle pieces on the table, we want to put them together and make them fit and match them and be done, right? And so the minute we get a text in with a question, our job is to give the answer so that it can be done, right? And so our brain is wired that way. And so it definitely is a difficult thing to do, but it just takes practice. Another little secret is, I mean, if you don't just have your phone on silent all the time, that's the biggest tip I could give anybody, is just have it on silent all the time. I do check my phone probably at a minimum every 45 minutes. I'll look, you know, unless I'm teaching an hour class, I'll look before, I'll look after, and then it's done. But I'm not seeing notifications come in. I'm not seeing all of those things to distract me. So, it's possible to live with your phone on silent. So, yes, Christy says she lives this way too. Phone on silent all the time, right? Now, my daughter and my son both ring through, but that's it. So,
Yep,
good
I
stuff.
do the same pretty much.
Good stuff. Yeah. So, all right. Well, it was an absolute pleasure. Any questions, any side conversations? Does not even have to do with the 5 things. Anything you guys want to talk about? No?
Could you just highlight those 5 things again for
Yeah.
quick?
Sure. So number 1 was flip the switch. It's not what we do that determines our success. I'm sorry. It's what we do that determines our success, not the market. So flip the switch. It's what we do that determines our success, not the market. That's number 1. Number 2, clarify your second half goals. That's where I asked like what you did first half. What do you really want to do second half to make yourself feel like you're winning? Number 3 was choose and commit to 2 forms of lead gen. I'm like, maybe 3. And then number 4 is recalibrate or plan your summer schedule to have both and. I can both be successful and have a great summer. It's not either or. So recalibrate your summer schedule. And number 5 is upgrade your business and be prepared. Upgrade your business and be prepared. Brian.
What do you encourage for accountability? Because we can have all these goals, but sometimes
Yeah.
it's really hard to achieve on our own. So what are some tips on that?
Yes. So my tips on that are definitely finding accountability partners, number 1. And I learned this from the 12-week yearbook. I love what I call scorecards. Okay. So if I'm going to choose what my activities are each day, I'm going to do 5 direct messages on Instagram. I'm going to do 2 CMAs out of my database. You know, whatever those must do activities are, I actually have a scorecard for myself. I have it actually up here. No, it's actually in my backpack. But I check off those items and I text that to my accountability partner. So if you find an accountability partner, I mean, I've done the whole, let's have a call. Well, sometimes that happens. Sometimes that doesn't. I'm one that I say, just find someone else. Your scorecards are going to look different. It doesn't really matter what they look like, but when you're ready to commit to yourself, I could say, hey, you know what, Brian, Stacy, and Elizabeth, I'm going to text you my scorecard every Monday. Can you do me a favor? Can you set an alarm in your phone that if you don't hear from me by 10 a.m., you're texting me, asking me where my scorecard is, right? Because it's more about just defining for ourselves that that's what we're committing to for ourselves. And Stacy's not going to judge me if I'm direct messaging 3 people and I'm not calling 40 people a day. Like Stacy's not in judgment. She's just holding me accountable to doing what I say I was going to do. And honestly, it's just 3 human beings caring about my success. And so that's what I would suggest is finding people that actually care about your success. They're going to set an alarm in their phone and they're going to ask you, where's your scorecard? Right? So that's just one tactic that we use, that I use, that I advise, you know, because not everybody's going to do the same things. Not everybody's going to have the same activities, you know, that kind of thing. Brian,
what you said right,
oh, go ahead.
What you said right there, Jackie, about that is for me, when I've had that, the accountability is to me, like me just committing to you that I'm going to get this to you. You may never even look at it. And that's not really the point for you to hold me accountable. It's for me to hold myself accountable that I've said at least I'm going to get my scorecard to you. And I know what's on that scorecard and what's not, right?
Right. Well, and that's the biggest question. I mean, everybody probably wrote down the activities they're going to need to do second half of 2024. If you graded yourself every day, A, B, C, D, F, like,
Do you
are
have
gonna hit
any
your goals?
punishments or consequences tied to those scorecards?
I think it all depends on your personality profile. Like I honestly, like that piece does not work for me unless, because some people are working towards pain, away from pain. Some people are working towards pleasure, you know, that kind of thing. I think for like, lack of better words, like drop dead goals. Like if I'm 1000% serious about XYZ, absolutely having that penalty in place of, you know, like one of my close friends, he's just Christian, very, you know, conservative. And he's like, okay, $1,000 check to Planned Parenthood is my penalty. And it's only because it's a goal that is so important to him that he hits. So it just depends on the personality, but absolutely, if that's something that will motivate you, I definitely encourage it. But it also depends on the client. And I think it has to come from the person. I'm not, as a coach, going to say, hey, Dave, if you don't do this, I want you to write me a check right now for X amount. Like, you may not be receptive of that because I'm directing that. But if you're a person that's directing it on your own and you're making it so painful, that's you really committing to yourself. So definitely suggest it, but it just depends on what that goal is and if it's worth it to you, right? Yeah. I don't know if that answers it.
That's good. So
Yeah.
good.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm
There's another coach who said, I promise you're going to do what you need to do if you write me a $500 check. And he said, I'm a big enough a-hole that I will actually cash that check if you don't do what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Ooh.
He goes, I'll donate the money, but I'm going to cash that check.
Yeah, I think too, it works better. Like, especially if you like your coach. I mean, that's not really a whole lot of motivation, right? I mean,
Right.
like, to me,
Right.
it's, so what they say is whatever number you come up with right now in your gut, triple that number. And it has to go to someone that you absolutely would never want to give a dime to.
Wow.
That's a commitment. Because this
Well, and
whole,
think about,
yeah.
and Leo Pereira was on a few weeks ago. He wrote a $10,000 check to a guy with a wax on, wax off policy. He called it. He goes, you either do everything I tell you to do, or literally you're not getting $1 back. I'm depositing and I'm keeping it, and you're out of here.
Right.
You're fired.
Right. You're fired.
You know, that was
right.
His pain was pretty strong. He didn't do what he was supposed to.
Right. Right.
And I think he said it was like all the money he had, like he wiped out his savings account with that $10,000 to write it to this coach, team lead, whoever it was.
Sold his car.
Right.
Sold his car. That's right.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
But like you said, Jackie, we're motivated by pain or pleasure. We're all wired,
Right.
we're wired differently, but
Differently.
that's pretty powerful.
For sure. For sure. Yeah, for sure. Perfect.
So Jackie, we're all going to write you $100,000 checks, and we're all going to do what we're supposed to do.
And
Yeah,
she's
I wanna
cashing them.
I want to see your scorecards. Right. That could be a new business for me. I could just be a full-time accountability partner. Right.
Well, to that point, Jackie, tell everyone, how can everybody find you? We can find you on Workplace.
Oh yeah, you can find me on Workplace. Honestly, Facebook Messenger and Workplace are the best places to get contact with me. I don't check any email regularly, so please do not email me. So, yeah. And funny story, just side note, if any of you are like super busy, I have really gotten back into Voxer. I'm weird. I know. Do you guys remember the little app with the walkie-talkie?
Yeah.
It's working beautifully with all my teams and everything. So if you haven't done it in a while, get back into Voxer. It's so productive. I don't know how we got out of it.
Yeah, I'd never even heard of it until a couple months ago. I was working on a project with Elizabeth, and she was like, we need to resurrect this. And it was like with another, OG at EXP. And I was like, what is Voxer? And anyway, so we started using, I was like, so y'all, it's like so Voxer, VOXER, and it's like walkie-talkies. It's like your phone is a walkie-talkie, which at first I was like, I do not need more device noise in my life, right?
No.
But it is super efficient. And anyway, it can
And the only reason I brought that up is because someone asked if I coach agents on agent attraction outside my team, blah, blah, blah. Message me Facebook, and I may want to just do a Voxer conversation with you for a week and me not charge you for coaching. Like, let me just help you through your little thing. And versus you trying to get in my schedule and all that kind of stuff, I'm happy to help in between appointments, and all that kind of stuff. So that's actually what triggered me to think of that. But yeah, just message me through Workplace or Facebook. I'm happy to help any of you with whatever you need. If you're a friend of Elizabeth's, you're a friend of mine. So thank you, Stacy, for having me. And hopefully I'll be on this call soon. This is a great call. So
thank you, Jackie. You're such a treat to be with, and you're just a ray of sunshine and wisdom. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. Have a great weekend and a great summer.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Have a good one. Bye, Jackie.
Bye.